session after a couple of items in executive session. And we're gonna circle back a little bit. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item number one.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are in open session now. It's actually not an item number one, it's coming out of executive session. Could I get a motion to ratify the memorandums of agreement with bargaining units A and B, the fire and police unions?
Ratify and sign.
Ratify and sign. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Second.
Whitman, I.
Second, aye.
And Dib, aye, and Alex has stepped out, we are fine. Thank you very much. Moving on to number one, can I get a motion to sign Treasury Warrant 26 and 26, PW 26 payroll?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Mattson and I.
Whitman, I.
Second, aye.
And Dib, aye, thank you. We have two sets of meeting minutes to approve, June 1 and June 8.
Motion to accept.
Thank you.
Second.
And is there any discussion or edit needed? Hearing none, all in favor?
Mattson and I.
Whitman, I.
Second, aye.
And Dib, aye, thank you. We are on to number two, public comment. Is there anyone here this evening who would like to speak? Please
I'm going
say.
to excuse myself from the board for public comment.
While Mr. Seckman sits down, I do just want to say congratulations to the Rutland Events Committee for their first concert, which happened on Friday. It was very well attended. Thank you very much. And I don't know why I am echoing. I'm sure that'll be fine. All right, is there anybody here in our audience for public comment tonight?
So I just wanted to also extend congratulations to the library for their 25th birthday celebration that they held a couple weekends ago. So
Yes.
it was a great time with the Rutland Jazz Band played, and there was an unveiling of a beautiful new stained glass window. So if you're here and you haven't seen it, check it out. It was a great day. So thank you to that committee, and congratulations to Carrie and everyone and the trustees for all of that.
The window is gorgeous.
Sorry.
Nobody else? Okay. I have been asked by several citizens in the town, Harry Seckman, 13 Beechwood Drive, to speak on the issue of the upside-down flag. And they asked me to convey to the chairman that their sons or daughters who did not make it back, their coffin and their last ride home was draped with the flag. Certainly a hero. And that flying a flag upside down was a total and utter disrespect for those heroes. And they asked that the chairman, going forward, I'm trying to put the words, think about her actions where she is the #1 representative for the town, the highest executive person that runs the town, and that she thinks about the town and her actions in situations like that, and how disrespectful it appears. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Since that statement was made towards the chair, there's also a piece of correspondence about that as well. I will make a quick statement. That flag it's down now, was not the American flag, it was the Betsy Ross flag. I don't think I am sharing a massive secret about my politics. But it was the Betsy Ross flag, and it is now, and has been for a couple of weeks, the Pride flag. So thank you for bringing that up. I hope everybody is having a very good Pride Month. I'll be changing the flag again as of the end of the month, and I appreciate everybody's input. I will say that I would certainly hope that in my role as chair, there is not one veteran or family of veterans who would ever think that something I'm doing at my private home would affect my performance here in this chair. But being as that may, so thank you, Harry. Thank you for the person who wrote the letter in. That is in the correspondence under public comment, and we will move on unless there's any questions. All right, we have a lot of board and committee appointments to do, so that's moving up next. You have lists in front of you. It's in a full folder, so we have our letters of interest, our letters of recommendation, and that full appointment list. Those have been rolling in. Thank you so much to Heather and Tamika for getting those all ready. A reminder as we do these that we do still have a couple that are highlighted yellow. And the board can decide what to do with that. One in particular, so the ZBA, they are not meeting until June 25th. So because they meet as needed, if we do not handle that until after the 1st of July, we are not delaying them in their business in any way. Is there any question or comment about the list of FY, and actually the document says FY 26, but it's, of course, as we know, it's FY 27 board and committee appointments. If there are no questions, we could do it by page, we could do it in full, we could do it individually, however you'd like.
I think I know just about everybody on here or have met them, so I'm very familiar with them, except maybe a couple of people on the 4th of July committee.
Excuse me,
But
Madam
it-
Chair, we do have.
What's that?
I'm sorry,
Oh.
I thought you were finished.
Oh, we have a question from the audience as well. Okay, so we can recognize Tim Narwhal.
I didn't mean to.
Thanks, Madam Chairman. I apologize. I wanted to, since we're going to be talking with the planning board and I'm handling the chairmanship, I wanted to bring our meeting to order at 6:39. We have Lauren Williams, Keith Tuttle, and myself. And I can't see if Alex Moss is there in person, but with the three of us, we do have a quorum.
I'm here, Tim.
Thanks, Alex. That makes us a full four on the board then. Perfect. Thank you. So I just wanted to bring our meeting to order so when we talk about or when we do discussions or votes, we'll be officially on the clock.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tim. So, to get back to however we want to break that out, just a reminder again, we've got the ZBA, which is not quite ready yet. And then regarding the planning board, that is a joint appointment.
Through the chair?
Yep.
As I was saying, I know most of everybody here, so I would be very comfortable voting it as a slate.
Okay. And are you doing any exceptions to that? Do you want to leave ZBA out or you want to?
No, with the exception that they don't have theirs ready yet.
Okay.
Sheila, if I
The
may-
other thing is, normally, when we appoint people, we ask them to be here. So we're going to put that aside and not require anybody to be here for the appointments? Is that what we're saying?
We changed that requirement,
Did we?
yeah, like 6-8 months ago.
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
we changed it and said that if anybody had, if it was known to be a contentious position, that then we might ask them to, the contenders, the applicants, to be in person, or if any board member felt that they wanted to have dialogue with a particular applicant, that we could request to have them in person, but otherwise it was
Okay,
not.
so I'm okay with the slate then, with the exception of them.
Okay.
I was just gonna note, we also have to accept the Earthworks Board because they did not meet. And just a clarification that the 4th of July committee members are not seeking reappointment even though they are listed on there.
Is there anybody seeking appointment to the 4th? No.
Okay. So,
Question
yes.
on the money. who was in charge of the funds that were donated to the Fourth of July committee? And then now that nobody's serving, what happens to those?
Those funds are under the direction of our treasurer, collector, and accountant's office.
Okay,
The funds will remain, they cannot be used for any other purpose other than Fourth of July activities. So they will remain in that account untouched until a Fourth of July committee is convened and makes determinations as to how to use those funds.
okay. Since no one is, did we have letters in, I looked through some, but I didn't, did we have letters of resignation from them?
They did not need to resign because their terms are ending.
Oh, they
So
were.
they're just not seeking reappointment.
They're not seeking reappointment.
I think all the Fourth of July committee members generally are one-year appointments, and we recently extended them through July of the fiscal year the July of the new fiscal year, rather than, so that they could finish out the current year Fourth of July programming. So I don't believe none of them are seeking reappointment. That
Okay.
means we need, I think as a board, need to put out a call to seed a Fourth of July committee going forward.
Okay. So I guess that would be the other exception then. Okay.
And if I have one other, I know you mentioned the Earthworks board, they don't have a recommendation because they haven't met, do they can they meet?
So attempts have been made to ask them to meet. They have been fully seated with the exception of one member, which would be a representative of the public.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they have not responded to requests to meet.
So yes, name and address.
Alex Moss, 119 Brentnell.
Hi.
Is that for the Earthworks Board?
Yeah.
I'm in the process. I have texted everyone and emailed everyone as well, and I now have to go to their home addresses and leave like a letter or
Oh, dear.
something in order to try and wrap a bow on that.
Okay. So we're now 4 minutes into this and we have more exceptions, I think, than we thought. So let's try again. I would like to take a look at page 1, which ends with the Cable Advisory Committee. Could I get a motion that includes page 1 appointments as noted with that ZBA exception?
Motion with the ZBA exception.
Second.
All right, and so again, this is a motion to appoint everyone from page 1. That includes KP Law all the way down to the Cable Advisory Committee. If anybody is watching at home, that is one of the documents that's part of the packet. Any other discussion? All in favor of page 1?
Matt's and I.
Vote aye.
Second,
And Dib, aye. Thank you very much. All right, now page 2 starts with Conservation Commission and ends with Events Committee because there will not be anything for 4th of July action tonight.
So moved.
Oh, sorry.
Are
No,
we-
this is the Earthworks thing.
I was gonna say, are we
Oh.
accepting or
You're right.
exempting, whatever,
Right, so
Earthworks?
so starting with conservation, ending with events and removing earthworks.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so again, we're doing Conservation Commission, there are 4 people there. I wanna make just that quick note, we have one that is a temporary reappointment, July 31st. That person's term will be expiring, so that was a little bit of a special one. We have 2 on Council on Aging and 1 on Events Committee. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Whitman, aye.
second, aye.
Matt's and I.
Vote aye.
And Dib, aye, thank you. Page 3 begins with Historical Commission, goes into the Planning Board Bylaw Subcommittee, RDIC, and actually, I think we could
Yeah,
do
do the
3 and
last
4
two.
together.
Yep.
So our last half page of page 3 and the final of page 4 are our liaisons, representatives, coordinators, and any professional staff that get appointed.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so that is page 3 and 4 as presented. Any discussion? All in favor?
Matt's and I.
Vote aye.
Whitman, aye.
Second, aye.
And Dib, aye, thank you very much. And then we will move to the planning board for their additional approval.
Madam Chairman, I'd just like to, we've got John Wambach. He was at our last meeting. The planning board talked with him, interviewed him. we gave a positive recommendation. We would like him to be appointed as our next associate member to the planning board. And we just wanted to come with the select board and make that dual appointment.
Okay, did we get anything from the planning board in writing, or we just
Yep,
knew
that's
that
in
they
your
were?
packet. Yep, that's in
I
your
didn't see
packet,
that. I'm
along
so
with
sorry.
John's letter of interest.
Perfect, thank you.
And if I may,
There it is.
I worked with John on master plan steering committee, and so I think John has a good understanding of kind of the planning side and the way some of the group works. So thanks for throwing your hat into the ring, John.
So, yeah, I apologize, we do have right in front of me, letter of interest and the recommendation from the planning board, thank you very much, in writing, and John is with us, would you like to speak, since you're here?
Sure.
Introduce yourself.
My name is John Wambach, 183 Campbell Street. I lived in the town 5 years. I had an amazing introduction to town politics on the master plan committee, and I'd be honored to play a role and learn and gain understanding as an alternate on the planning board. I feel like it's a great introduction. It's just a step forward, and I appreciate the recommendation. All right.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, could I get a motion from the select board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Wait a minute.
Second, aye.
Mattson, aye.
Vote aye.
And Deb, aye.
I think planning board needs to.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Although I feel
Can
like
I get a motion from the planning board, Keith, Lauren, or Alex, for approval of associate member John Wambach?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Alex, a second from Lauren. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'm gonna do a roll call vote since we've got Zoom, so I'll do Lauren Williams,
Aye.
Keith Tuttle,
If you can hear me, aye.
yes, Alex Moss,
Aye.
and Tim Narwhal, aye, 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Just make sure you get sworn in with the clerk's office with either Ben or Anita, and then you're good to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, Alex, would they like to adjourn?
Don't leave yet, Alex. Would the planning board like to make a motion to adjourn?
Is there any other, let me ask the board why I've got them here. Is there any other business on the select board agenda like the board would like to stick around for? Before I take a motion?
I don't see anything as I scroll down quickly. You are obviously welcome to stay with us, but no, I don't see anything.
It was, okay, great. I just want to make sure of that. Okay, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Lauren moved. Do I get a second?
Second.
Second from Alex Moss. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call. Lauren Williams,
Aye.
Keith Tuttle,
Aye.
Alex Moss,
Aye.
and Tim Narwhal, aye. I'd like to thank the select board for letting us be here. And with that, I will close out the planning board at 6:50.
Tim, please give our best to Norm.
I will. He's, we need him back. I need my wisdom.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And if anybody on the board has questions, please direct them to me. Tamika has my email and my cell phone's available, and I can answer any questions anyone on the select board has. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay, under old business, first thing, number 5, is the letter of support that we received as a draft that has now been placed on letterhead. That was in support of a state audit. This was a resident request at the last meeting. Everybody took a look at that letter. You have a choice now to either make edits to it or make a motion for it to be signed and sent. I know there's been a little bit of action on the Senate side already. I will wait to hear from you. Okay, we also can take no action this evening, so is there a motion to sign and send as presented or to edit, sign and send?
I'll make a motion to sign and send it off.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? And everybody's happy with the way it looks? Okay, all in favor?
Matt's and I.
Vote aye.
And then
Second, I.
Divide, great. Moving on to number 6, that was our goals. So the last meeting, and I don't wanna spend a ton of time on this. This is obviously a work in progress, but we did come up with what I think were 5 sort of strategic areas. Number 1 being communication, number 2, finance, number 3, capital project and debt, number 4, general regional activism, including our elected officials and education in particular. And then number 5 was our people, support to our staff. I will say for number 5, we're starting that tough tonight with our MOAs, with our union personnel, some of whom we are going to be losing in the next couple of weeks, and they will be missed. Under those strategic areas, did anybody have some very specific things that they would like to add? So that would be our next step. And I think we talked last time about how under each one, we might have things that we are able to do immediately. We might have things that we can maybe do after a special town meeting or within it, or work towards the annual. And there might be things that are more goal-oriented that we just don't have the money for right now, and that's okay.
I think Harry and I have talked about this a little bit under the regional collaboration and advocacy is really seeking to bring that Wachusett Regional School District working group together. There should be a draft policy somewhere because the board a year ago, approved it to go to the towns, the other 4 towns, and it never made it. So I can take it if the board wants as the municipal rep to the for the collective bargaining for the district, or if there's another member that wants to take it, or a town administrator or whatever. It just seems to have gotten stagnant. It was something Austin put together right before I think he left on paternity leave, and then it just never picked up again.
Okay. All right, so yeah, definitely adding that. There's a draft policy somewhere, that sounds good. I think, we heard from our elected officials last meeting that the governor is gonna end up seating a reboot of the foundation formula committee. I do think we absolutely, and I didn't get it ready for tonight, we should probably be sending a letter to our partners as well about this, to say, look, we think it's important that somebody from the Wachusett district is in that room, on that committee. It doesn't have to be somebody from Rutland, but it certainly should be somebody from the largest district, the largest regional district in the state.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Be good if we could get something, for sure.
yeah. Okay. Yes.
If I may, would it be helpful if I don't wanna overstep as the town administrator, but I also wanna make sure that this process, it's very important, we wanna keep it moving. Would it be helpful if I took your master plan document and went through that document and isolated some of the items that might conveniently fit into these categories? And paying maybe extra attention to those that are not big dollar items, sort of focusing on things that are more manpower than things they have to borrow for, and we can continue to work on this, and I can certainly share that out with you all. Would that be something that would be helpful? Absolutely. I mean, it would give me a good opportunity to get involved in the master plan document itself, and perhaps populate this document at the same time.
I think if I may, I think that as well as the most current facility study, just because some of it is infrastructure and capital planning, and obviously that's going to have a higher dollar amount, but we can't keep our head in the sand about some of the stuff that's coming on the horizon. And I can share in the superintendent's report a couple weeks ago, I can share around to the board, it's public, it's on the website. They had worked with CMRPC to do a facilities study with an architecture group, and probably the one of the worst schools in the district is Glenwood.
Yeah.
And the work
That report was shocking.
and the need that we need to figure out what we want to do with Naquag and or Central Tree. Central Tree was excluded from a lot, ironically. I need to follow up to see if it was just a miss on that or not, but I think we need to be cognizant of that piece as well as our municipal government buildings as well.
And that might fit into several categories, right? Public engagement and transparency, as well as your infrastructure and capital planning. And so I think I'd like to sort of target some of those, because I do think that they will actually fall into multiple categories as we try to work through our problems from different angles.
How old is the facility study that we've got?
The facility study that Leah is referencing is brand new, but it was just focused on the schools. We have a feasibility study that Weston Sampson did a couple of years, maybe 2002, 2003. But staying on the topic of facilities, because that's, you know, obviously an important one. We also have a document from Maya, who provides us with our property and casualty insurance. And they have provided their own list of areas where they have concerns and would like us to focus on priorities. So I had engaged Weston Sampson to take that 2023 document and apply it to the Maya recommendations and look at the feasibility study, not from necessarily an energy efficiency, which energy efficiency is certainly important, but also put it up against our risk, where we are falling behind in some of our OSHA and safety, and just, you know, roofs and boilers, those types of things. So that's in the process, and we can certainly apply, but that's almost too granular, I think, for what you have here. But I think it all fits in on how we wanna look, what is the focus of, when we talk about infrastructure and capital planning, what are we looking at? You know, instead of it just all the things that we need, what are all the things that we need and why do we need them, and does that drive the priority list?
And if I may, my understanding is that Maya and other insurance groups are really starting to crack down on risk of facilities and becoming harder to insure or much more costly to insure. So on that side of paying attention to that overlap, I think provides some under our financial sustainability and stewardship, because if we can get decrease some of our insurance costs over the long term and have safer, better buildings.
Our risk rating right now is 140.
Or what?
Sorry, what?
It's 140.
In
So,
relation to what?
the easiest way is that Maya paid out 40% more in losses for the town of Rutland than we paid in premium. So we are not a great client.
I mean, so the rating is 140. Is 250 the top?
No,
it's- yeah,
anything
it's
under
a
100
ratio.
is considered better.
That's the insurance ratio, so
Okay.
we paid, the 100% would be how much we paid in premiums, and they've paid out 140% of our premiums.
Okay.
They want us to be around, well, I don't know, property's probably 80%, if that.
It's even high. It's probably high.
Yeah, I think health is a little bit lower and must be around 65.
So we have a lot of room for improvement. And I think that that's something that we really need to be paying attention to, because it does affect our bottom line. They are not going, you know, we can certainly free up through the investment in our buildings and our facilities, we can free up money to do the work if we can show a commitment and improve our ratio.
And just even be able to be insured, because that's I mean, we saw that on the health insurance side this year, right? That we're not a competitive community on the health insurance side, and it's becoming my understanding is for a lot of the smaller communities that are experiencing the same challenges we are, and we know insurance in general is a driving force of our budget.
So back in 2019, we had an ad hoc building committee, which kind of speaks to what you're talking about. I don't think that that's too granular for what we need to be doing. We need to know what's wrong with our buildings. And I wonder if on our list we should have, because it essentially disbanded, as far as I know. It was ad hoc back in 19, and I don't think it has met since.
COVID hit and it just kind of
Yeah, it just, I think, right, COVID. So essentially, we could do something along the lines of a permanent town building committee. Now, at the time, the ad hoc was the fire chief, public works, the building commissioner, the TA, and 2 qualified members of the general public. And they would meet and essentially work with somebody like Amaya and with maybe Weston and Sampson or whoever, CMRPC, and give us solid snapshots of our building envelopes and kind of keep that going. So this would be a permanently seated committee that would then come back to the select board relative to the maintenance and management of our buildings. At the end of the day, we do not have the staff, the professional staff to do this stuff. We rely so heavily on our volunteers, and I think we do have a lot of very qualified people in town who could do work like this. Certainly in conjunction with our professionals in the room, you know, to have those meetings. So not something to seat tonight, obviously, but is it something to consider as part of some of our goals? It's certainly on my list, so. I think I would add, just because one of our things, we were talking about our people and support to our staff, I'm wondering how much Maya can help us. They do so many programs for healthy staff. They'll come in and they'll do yoga classes, whatever, bringing in people who will do food demonstrations, and so.
We are certainly actively working with our risk manager, absolutely. She is a regular
Visitor.
She is somebody that I have a regular conversation with as we work towards, we have several mandatory action items that we are working through, so.
Very great.
Yeah, and she's great.
Through the chair?
Yeah.
Years ago, I think during one of the town administrator, he created a maintenance log of every building in town and what needed to be done. Glenwood, Naquan.
The town administrator had a maintenance log?
Yes. We had a book comprised, and we used that on the CIPC, we used that in the CIPC.
Okay.
Let's find it.
Yeah, let's.
So if I have a copy of it at home,
Yeah.
I'll make sure you get it.
Yeah.
If not, they should have, because that's where a lot of our prior recommendations came from.
Wouldn't that just be the
Is that
facilities?
maintenance?
Yeah,
Facilities?
It's like, I don't know, 60, 70-page document at least.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the facilities.
I have a copy of that too.
I think it's
That's-
a facility study.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
facility
the
study.
facility stuff.
That's gotta be what
Okay.
that is.
I'm happy to, but creating a maintenance log that I would maintain, maybe.
No, I think he just means like that, like they were going through the facilities and kind of ticking off priorities, not necessarily like
Yeah,
going
it's
and
like,
and writing
let's
what they
take-
were doing.
Okay,
Let's take Glenwood, for example. We need sidewalks done. We need this done. We
Oh,
need this
yeah.
done.
we have that report,
Oh, you
yes,
do? Okay.
yes, yes,
That's good. That's a good start.
Okay.
okay,
Excellent.
great,
Um,
okay, so.
I mean, we're jumping around, but really, right, this was that goal of getting down below our strategic areas.
Sorry.
It's fine.
If I may,
Add
one of the goals from previous board iterations, obviously now with the budget the way it is, it's not going to happen now, was to bring a piece of facilities under DPW specifically, so that there is a more concerted DPW specific facilities to
Yes,
manage a lot
absolutely.
of this, even for the some of the more day-to-day maintenance routine, not even so routine, but the handicap ramp at the Wood Studio, always needed a lot of attention and
Yeah.
just to have a better handle on all the buildings rather than the building stewards doing it, cause a lot of times the building stewards aren't necessarily facilities people, so they don't know what to look for. That was a longer term, that was a goal from
It's
obviously now
that's a priority for me as well. You definitely need a point person. And I think that one of the things that we fall into is because our facilities department is also our public works, in public works, their priority is not facilities, their priority is our parks, our roads, and basically our infrastructure. So they rely heavily on the reporting out from our department heads. And that puts a great deal of responsibility, and perhaps unjustly so, on our department heads. We have fantastic department heads. We have a fantastic senior director, we have a fantastic library director, we have a fantastic police chief and fire chief. They are not building, we're fortunate that they know enough about their buildings that they do, but we don't, they don't have the training in HVAC or in boiler repair or roof replacement, and so we're waiting for things to go wrong for them to see signs of actual disrepair or failure in the building, and then they report that out. And so we're working the problem backwards, and that is one of the reasons I think our insurance is upside down, is because we're only fixing things when there's something broken, as opposed to addressing something before it breaks and saving both ourselves and the insurance company those funds.
I see.
So proactive and not reactive.
Through, possibly the previous DPW director who, and also was an interim town administrator here for a period in time. He might be interested in what you're talking about exactly too, Gary.
Okay, yeah. We'll take all the help we can get.
All right, and again, we're skipping around. We had communications as one of our strategic areas. Coming up in tonight's meeting, we're gonna review a draft social media policy, the whole idea of a possible communications committee who would advise us on ways to get better. I think we've already seen a little bit of improvement. Town meeting, thank you both so much. I think the motions document worked. I think people found things much clearer. I think we saw that in the questions that we were getting and the comments back. Who knew that the turnout was gonna be that big? We didn't have enough paper, but that was okay. We said we weren't gonna make too much paper. So it was a first go at some little improvements, and in the fall, it would be nice to try maybe a warrant info session that includes the moderator, which a lot of other communities do. Actually, Roger, our attorney, is a moderator in another town, and he does it in his town. I think that would be great. People would get to know Randy a little bit more outside of the meetings, where sometimes that can be very overwhelming for people who haven't done it before. I think relative to communications and then kind of jumping into finance, I don't want to not comment on the fact that we did have a town meeting that voted 2/3, basically. I think that was about the vote to support the non-binding citizens petition. And does this board have any thoughts moving forward?
Under what item are we using it on the agenda?
I kind of split it. I mean, I think a lot of these overlap, kind of a Venn diagram, but communications, because that was a resident petition that was done and a message sent, and a lot of people were making comments that night. In addition to our finance, which we can't not have finance be one of our strategic areas, for sure.
As far as that citizens petition is concerned, I really don't have an opinion at this time. So if you have it listed on a future agenda as a separate item, I will be more than happy to form an opinion then.
Okay. So let's get that on the 1st July agenda as a specific item. For me, under finance, I'm kind of looking forward to maybe, we have other communities that do it as well, I'm sure Heather has seen some of them, to work with the finance committee on a budget book for people. And basing it really off of the documentation that got put together for this last meeting, annual town meeting. I think it was amazing, and I think we can, essentially call it the budget book. Get things out as early as possible. So for me, under finance, that's a transparency thing, which I hope to do.
If I may to piggyback on that, Sheila, a little bit of that plus I guess I'd say it's regional collaboration and advocacy, but also just inter-board communication or collaboration and advocacy is working with FinCom to have a more broad stance as to the current fiscal situation in town and the future fiscal situation in town. I know there's been a lot of ask, and many other communities have FinComs who at town meeting, during the reading of the reports, the annual town meeting, the reading of the reports, will give a small presentation, just kind of this is where we are this year, this is how we're finishing this current fiscal year, this is where we're looking at the current upcoming fiscal year, as well as kind of the first nearer term future. And I think there's been a lot of resistance to that, and I think as the kind of legislative advisory group to town meeting, there's a lot of value to hear it coming from a FinCom perspective and not just a select board perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, I'm guessing, some finance committees have professional staff that support specifically them. And it's not really something that we obviously have the hours for,
Right.
so, yeah, we're gonna have to see if that's something they could even get volunteers to help them with, which of course gets back to communications committee and whether there's people who are tech savvy enough to kind of take the information that FinCom have and put it into a nice deck. That sounds great to me.
And a couple years ago, I think there was an online budget book that
Yep.
was done on the earlier side, and obviously those numbers are
Yep.
changing as it goes,
But if the framework was good.
exactly.
Was there a budget book online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll still create one, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, like, it probably have to be updated and
No, right.
adjusted and changed,
But if the structure was
There
good,
was
we
something
at
there.
least have that framework in place, that would be great.
Uh,
I have a question about capital projects and debt, which kind of goes along with facilities. Is there a project that anyone on this board wants to work towards? And again, understanding that we are in financially dire straits, but the town is still here, and we still have to keep looking forward, and I don't know what was coming up next on the CIPC's list in terms of a major project.
I can speak to that a little.
Yep.
I think Public Works, through all the years that I sat on it, and the years that the members currently are sitting on it, I think we have been really restrained in the budget and everything else from being fair, if you will, to the DPW. I mean, we do things like, multi-million dollar fire trucks, if you will, to, they ask us for a $40,000 used front end loader and we can't give it to them. So I think we need to take a serious look at the capital needs of the DPW. And that's just coming from sitting on that committee for many years.
Okay.
Another one that's probably, and maybe we've taken care of it pretty good, that's been kind of a lame duck, if you will, because of the needs, is the library. That was probably the second one that I saw that we really need a lot taken care of. And then, of course, you get into your buildings, which is beyond that. I mean, you can check with CIPC to see what, but in my years, that's where I think we disenfranchised them in terms of making sure they had the proper equipment to do the job they needed.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, if we're looking for kind of a bigger facilities type project, I think always in the back of my head is what's happening on the school side, but for me, I would really, really, really like to see some sort of senior center and or recreation co-dedicated separate wings with a shared kitchen space or something. of that nature, because I really think the building on Glenwood does not service our seniors to the ability that our seniors deserve. The acoustics are terrible, and that's not something that can be fixed. I mean, we can fix the bathroom situation and we can fix a lot, but the acoustics are really not. And to have something that's truly accessible, kitchen to bathrooms to everything, I think is something that I would love to see. And I think there had been a lot of funding available. I don't know if there still is. I know it comes and goes sometimes, but
I feel like that was talked about quite a lot, and I feel like it got paused in any kind of conversation because there was constant conversation or just communication, whether there was anything, that was actually gonna happen, but there's been obviously a lot of conversation around a new building. So I recall there being like, why would we put in a kitchen or put in work into a kitchen if we're gonna replace the building? I don't know how close we are to replacing the building, obviously, that's a much bigger situation, but I think we just need to be smart around the timing of these things and make sure we understand if something's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen. Could be 10 years out and therefore it's,
Yeah.
making those changes is good, but I think we just need to go back to, from a facilities perspective, I think we really need to work within the master plan and the facilities document that was done a few years ago, work between that, CIPC, and all kind of get on the same page of what's the priorities and what can we do with the limited funds we have.
I agree with Leah on the senior center. We haven't had a major construction project since, ironically, Glenwood, and the fact that it's top on the list from that survey is just, oh my gosh. And that's a tough sell. It's certainly a tough sell after you've lost an override vote and you're probably looking at another one. So, but I do think at some point we need to very seriously talk about a senior center and when, and prepare the town for a vote that might not happen for 3 years. I will say my other thing would be, and Heather, this is like a pet project, if we could get grant funding in particular, it would be the top floor of our community hall. That is verging on 100-year building. We're getting closer and closer to that. And we have a completely unusable top floor, which is gorgeous if you haven't been up there, because it is not ADA accessible. It needs really, at the end of the day, relative to a lot of other buildings, only minor repairs. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect. I know there's floor issues and all that, but what it really needs is access and an elevator to the top floor. It's something we've looked into a few times and we've walked away from it. It's probably a situation from a money perspective that it needs like a capital 1-year exclusion. And the fact that we now are sitting in a building where, thank you to the trustees for still allowing us, the select board, to meet here, but a lot of our other local community groups are now losing this space because of access issues. And so we really need to, I think, get our space back, and that's one of those buildings. So that's certainly on my list for capital for at least a smaller project relative to and with Harry's too, right? Public Works trucks, I consider capital exclusion projects versus the senior center, which is a massive, do the study and all that.
And to your point, I know there's a number of plans around that show different iterations and options for making that top floor accessible. And they obviously are a few years outdated, but they're post-COVID, so they're not so terribly outdated. I mean, 5 years, so I'm sure everything has increased, but there's options there, whether it's a lift or a elevator with a small or addition or something.
All right, I had a few things for our people. I'd like us to make better effort at recognizing milestones when they come up for our employees that are with us, and maybe even doing some team building and using some of our local businesses if they were willing to kind of collaborate with us. Perhaps, and talk to Heather, allowing some of them to go to, if there's any free professional development out there and they can afford the time. I think those are things that we can do to help keep our staff in a decent place while they're here, despite all of our challenges. Is there, we can keep adding to this. I'm gonna have this, this is a working document, live document, so is there anything else tonight?
I think under finance, and it might be under a couple other aspects, is, and just an overall, I think that given the financial situation, I think unfortunately doing more with less is gonna be the kind of motto for the foreseeable future. How that is and how that works and what that means, I think is obviously something we need to discuss over the coming however long, we need to manage through this. A big portion of that, or a big part of that, might be just looking at what's possible for regionalizing services or whatever that can possibly happen. I don't think it would be ideal for us, but in some cases it could work and may be beneficial to us. But I think, and this goes back a long way now to something that Heather mentioned in the looking through the master plan, because we don't have the money, looking for things that are more manpower based. And unfortunately, we don't have the manpower anymore either. So that comment, while your point is to not spend money and to have internal people do it, we don't have internal people anymore to do that. So, and I know what you're saying, and it's not, we don't have to get into it. Just my point and just public statement, right, is that that's gonna be harder now. So it's just tougher to get anything done.
I think when I said that, I think I was thinking of myself and the five of you.
Yep, I get it.
And
I just wanted to make that clear
Nope,
that
understood.
this is gonna be a much
This is-
harder, getting things done going forward and getting things done that are not just mandatory or fire alarms of a daily basis is going to be a much more, we're gonna get stuff done that's needed to get done and that's it, and maybe some things that need to get done may not get done because we don't have the people or money to do it. So people are, it is what it is.
I wanna just put out for the public also on the regionalization side, I wholly agree with you trying to do as much regionalization as possible. It's becoming harder and harder also for communities to regionalize, especially when they have track records of not supporting the funds that cost for the regionalization, because communities that consistently do fund don't want to risk being partnered with
Right.
communities that don't fund, and so that's
Yep, it is a challenge.
a
Yep.
challenge that is another challenge that we will encounter. I don't wanna walk away from it though because of it, but
It's clear we're gonna have to rely a lot on volunteers for the foreseeable future for a lot of this work, Okay,
I think one of the things that we've gotta take a serious look at is getting a town planner, getting them in here and getting them moving on getting some things done. There's all kinds of usable property around town. And, you can look at it in any number of ways, but yet, to get a planner in here who's a certified planner and looking at these areas and finding out just what there is out there that we can use, and maybe get into looking into buildings or this sort of thing, what exists and what's out there. I mean, I know quite a bit about what is in this town and who owns what and so on and so forth. And so, it's one of these things that, okay, this is something that, all of a sudden has just come to a complete standstill. And in reality, if it had kept moving, I think we would have probably had a little bit more activity as far as financial interests are concerned and this sort of thing. So in other words, I just think we've got to look at getting a little bit of organization as far as maybe zoning and business and this sort of thing, and changing things around a little bit. And we kind of depended on things happening, and they happen for a short time or a longer period of time, and then all of a sudden they're not there anymore. So, we kind of got to get a chance to look into things that may be here for the long run.
Just to confirm, the planner role was budgeted at
12
halftime?
hours.
12? Okay, so I mean, no one's ever gonna take that role. Well, there we go. Moving on.
I think to piggyback on what Paul said, working with for economic development, whether that's working with RBA or planning board or whatever, to try to bring some sort of.
I wonder, Heather, if nobody responds, because I know you've posted it.
We have not
Oh, you haven't
technically
posted it?
posted it yet because when we were getting ready to post it, we had some other
Okay.
personnel crises.
No, that's fine. I know you're, fine,
Yeah,
I know you're
yeah,
about to post it,
It's scheduled to be posted
That's fine.
by the end of the week.
whatever, so,
Can it be a planner, inspector, inspector,
I know.
inspector, and
Right.
inspector?
yeah. Well, I was just thinking, what's the dollar total figure for that line item now with the cuts? It's fine.
It's gotta be
My-
like
give me-
20
Is it
grand.
20,000? Yeah.
Yeah,
My-
25.
I guess my point is, if no one replies at that 12-hour figure, we could look at doing it project-based and come up with a project for a planner that we would contract
That's a good
for a
idea.
dollar
Yeah.
figure flat.
Yep.
That would make far more sense, and it would get, cause to your point, who's coming in for 2 days for 6 hours a day? I don't, Yeah.
We have certainly worked with CMRPC to find opportunities to
Yeah.
regionalize that position, to share services. Unfortunately, all of the other communities are in a very similar position to us, and funding, we're actually a little ahead of the game funding it at 12 hours. So
that's so sad, okay.
it is so sad.
It's not,
And
okay.
not to go further on that, but like even if you were to consult on that, you maybe have 100 to 150 hours for the year.
No, we'd have to pick a project and have it be,
Because it's also not a benefited role at that point, so now you don't even have benefit dollars in the budget to add to that consulting role, so you're gonna pay $150 to $200 an hour.
Yep.
At 25 grand, it's gonna go real fast.
real fast.
Oh,
for sure.
sorry.
Am I allowed to, can I
You
make?
absolutely are.
Well, first off, I think there could be creative ways around this. I think contracting is expensive. I think 12 hours a week is expensive, but I do think like just thinking, just it being negative is defeatist. That like are there any, would there ever be any options to like lump that into like a master's degree program at WPI for like, you know what I'm saying? Like college credits, course credits, I mean, there are like, we're a small town, right?
Like an internship.
Regardless, we have to be frugal, like, it could be a stepping stone to a full-time position somewhere else, like, things like that, I think you could,
That's a great idea.
you could find creative.
We have
creative
such
ways.
good.
It is
hierarchies.
needed, but that is not a lot of money, I do agree.
And I know Clark has a very strong public administration
Yeah.
planning group. But I think in years past, there has been outreach to the local universities and there hasn't been much bait or response. Not to say that we shouldn't, to your point, keep
Yeah.
trying. And especially if it's a little bit more targeted and we can fund something at 12 hours, maybe that's something that might be more attractive to a student that has hours or something,
Yeah, I
a
don't
master's
know.
student or something.
We have $21,020 to spend.
All right,
Yeah,
it's not zero.
Not zero.
I mean, that's a full-time internship,
If you're going to school.
20 hours a week.
I
Internship.
mean, yeah, all right, thank you. I think that's
It's a good
great.
idea.
Yeah.
but to Paul's point, I mean, there's assets, like there's assets and what, like, are they like buildable assets, like are they worthwhile assets, like things like that, I mean, and even just having somebody look at those things and make a recommendation, I think could be super valuable.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, spent a lot of time on this tonight, thank you. I do think some of these things, we have action items tonight, so we're hopefully gonna move in the right direction and get done as much as we can under, as we keep saying, challenging circumstances. I'm gonna, unless anybody has anything else, I'm gonna move on to number 7. So secondary meeting space, clearly with the loss of the library for so many of our groups, it's time to start looking at some alternate locations, and much as I would love to see the top floor of Community Hall finished tomorrow, that's not happening. So I know at the community center, the hours have now been posted for July, which are reduced hours. is it time to have that conversation and open up that building, which I believe now that the ADA work is complete, is no longer a building that we'd have to say no to. I mean, it was unacceptable for our seniors, and so, right? You know, it's that, we no longer have the wood studio, right, because that's being used until next year. We could certainly reach out to the fire brigade to see what their policy has been relative to the old fire station, where we have a lease with them for that. I can't think of many more options. I do think the community center has some potential. I know they used to have meetings there.
Don't we have meeting space in the annex?
We have a conference room, yes, but maybe six or eight people could fit in
I'm
that
thinking
space.
during the day,
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know?
no,
Yeah.
it's open at any time, but it is not set up for a meeting
Right.
this size.
Or even
No,
it's tough
no,
for
no, I'm
planning board
thinking small
meeting.
committees,
Yeah.
if
Yep.
they need a place to
Yep.
meet.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, that's a good one.
So I think, you know, going back to the community center, we do have a new earmark, that potentially some funds would be available, to do some improvements, to create the to put in some of the technology, that we would need for meeting space.
Talking
I
about the
knew
senior
that-
center?
They do have
Community
that,
center.
they do have that big room there as you go in
Yeah.
on the right-hand side, so that's pretty decent for meeting space.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm all for creating extra spaces, but I feel like if we were to use earmarked money to create meeting spaces for committees in the senior center, we might get torn apart for not using that money in the way that it really should be used. Just throw that out there.
I agree, it would have to be projects that are beneficial to the building's users across the board. It would have to be beneficial to the
Right.
senior users, for sure, 100%.
Okay.
This money did not come with it, so the last earmark that they received was specifically for ADA work.
Yeah.
This earmark does not have a designated use. I agree, it has to benefit the building, it has to benefit the town and the users of the building.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we even said it tonight about the needs for the senior center, community center, however
Yeah.
you wanna.
yeah.
So to use earmarked funds for something, it just feels a little bit like
No,
that's
it-
not a good idea.
No, it would have to be good for the entire building and all of its users, 100%.
Right,
You know,
I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what I said that was not right.
I don't
Just so I don't move forward,
I don't think you,
With-
no, I'm
No, you didn't
just
say
general
anything.
statement.
okay,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning to use the,
No, I just wanted to clarify and just make sure that, no.
the funny
Okay.
thing,
We're
I mean,
good.
okay,
you could throw a lot of money at that building and it,
yeah.
oh my
Which is
gosh.
why I made the earlier comment
Yeah.
about like, should we be putting money into
Yeah.
that building if we really need to have a new building and.
Well,
But, so we are gonna have to make some decisions about what we're going to use that earmark money for.
Yep.
So that's something that we'll definitely have to engage with all of the,
yeah,
perhaps, I know when I first started, there was a conversation brought forward by the board that you didn't have a use policy for that building. That there had been a lot of conversations about it in the past, and I don't know that maybe this is a time to,
okay. You said something about tech, and I'm sitting here wondering if a big screen like this with a setup that could run classes for seniors, remote classes, right? You know, we would be able to use the tech for other things, for evening meetings maybe, but to be able to bring in
Movie
health
night.
and fitness classes, movie nights, movie days, movie whatever. Yeah,
Well,
that
I mean,
might-
I hate to say it, but if we're not gonna be able to use this space, then shouldn't we just reclaim the tech and the equipment in this and move it? I don't know how easy or how possible that is, but
Well, we get to use it. We're the only ones.
And I don't know what the agreement with cable, because
yeah, I mean, we'd have to
Cable
look into that.
space and-
It's just instead of spending money on that, can we reuse what we have if we're not gonna be able to use the space? 'Cause
I
It's
also,
gonna go to waste if we're unable to use it.
Well,
at one time, I put together a plan and a design for downstairs in the community hall that had meeting space and also a space for cable to set up and do recording and send it across to here to broadcast. But at any rate, neither here nor there. The plan was put into place, and I'm not sure, I know I've got copies of the diagrams that I drew, but at any rate, now the town clerk has taken some of that space at least to build a retaining area for her election equipment, so
Okay.
that's kind of out the door too, but.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely used to have meetings in that basement. We used to have meetings in the wood studio. We've had more meetings here. We've lost all of those spaces, so it's time to get creative again. So yeah, I think if the board is okay, Heather can start that process of reaching out to our council on aging director, work out that, make sure that schedule is there. Try to figure out what we can do as far as access and things like that. I think we have a lot of boards and committees right now that don't really have a home, as far as I can tell, and that's a problem.
Is there any space in the upstairs section of like DPW building?
That's accessible.
The only, if I may, the only room I think DPW has available is their meeting room.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you
that's-
walk in on the
I've never been in
left-hand
that
side,
building.
there's,
It's on the left
yeah, there's a
side,
little
that's- yeah.
conference room on the left-hand side that
Yeah.
Yep.
might hold 6 or 8 people.
Yeah,
So similar
You know,
to.
similar to the one in the annex.
And then what about using the schools? Is that not?
I think they charge us at minimum a janitor's fee, at minimum, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Some of the scout troops have met there, but it's been a lot of hoops to get through in terms of timing, and it's gonna be a tough sell on town meetings that need to be
Yeah.
televised and,
and I don't think, I don't think a lot of the schools, Glenwood might have more open classroom space than Naquag, but otherwise it's generally the gymnasiums and recreation generally,
I mean, the libraries.
right.
I mean, we could try.
If I may, one of the concerns that's been expressed by our boards and committees is loss of professional staff while also perhaps no longer having access to meetings being recorded or live streamed for them to refer back to help with minutes or transcription or things like that. And also the transparency with the public that there are things we may not be able to do, which would require the board to update your remote meeting policy, which currently requires certain boards and commissions to be recorded and accessible to the public.
But yes, cause I was thinking of this also, but also there, I think there must be ways to at minimum have Zoom, the audio is not going to be the greatest, but at minimum have Zoom recording going to go back to refer. Whether it's a town Chromebook or somebody brings their personal Chromebook or something.
Yeah, I think there are some groups that can do that with no problem. I think there are some, if there wasn't staff help, might struggle with that a bit, especially if they have to be the one that signs in and hosts it.
Okay,
We've sometimes run into challenges. Some groups are more comfortable with that than other,
all right.
if that makes sense.
That is a problem we're just gonna have to solve, because I have to say, at least for me, we cannot go backwards when it comes to accessibility to these meetings, and having them on Zoom was a fight years ago, and it was COVID that actually pushed us over into making sure that they were accessible to people, so.
So I understand solving problems, but I think to Alex's point, we don't have any more staff.
No, but
So, I wanna solve the problems also, but I can't, we can't, we just don't have the opportunity to dedicate personnel to attend or participate in these meetings anymore, and unless the volunteers themselves are willing to pick that responsibility up.
that's 100% where I was headed.
Yeah.
My solving of the problem is
They have.
whatever somebody needs to learn, we need to figure that out. If it's
Okay.
me doing, I don't know,
Respectfully, this is changing next Wednesday though. I just don't logistically see how we're gonna bring that to fruition without a disruption in public meetings.
I'm not saying it will be perfect, but let's face it, even we can't have a meeting without some tech issues. And I think we need to move forward with at least the boards and committees and commissions that we seat. We can't speak to the other electeds, they need to do whatever they are gonna do. We need to make sure that they've got all the tools and they figure it out. And yes, I'm sure there will be some hiccups, I believe you
So,
wholeheartedly.
But beyond that, where do they go starting next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Especially the ones that hold public hearings, cause we are already having a challenge with that, where we're booking public hearings into July. You have to have a location.
Okay.
So we've asked the trustees
Okay.
to consider a stay for the month of July. Unfortunately, I have not been able to, and it's mostly my fault, that I just have not been able to focus on, we've known for several weeks that this space was not gonna be available. I have not had the ability to pivot to try to find these alternative meeting locations and get everybody set up, and I apologize for that. We do have a couple of permitting boards that have public hearings that will have to happen. The library trustees have made at least one exception at my request to accommodate a conservation commission public hearing, and I've asked them to consider a stay for the month of July, just to buy me a few more weeks
Okay.
to help. Whether that's granted or not, I can't say. So the physical location is one issue, but I also think that it's important that we recognize that we have three very part-time cable operators. They're doing the best they can, but they also work for other communities who have, you know, in order to pay their bills, they, you know, this isn't their only focus.
Yep.
So we vie for their time. Putting the responsibility on them is really not an option. So I just wanna make sure that we're all on the same page, that there will be
Yep.
meetings that are missed.
So just let's back into this. For the month of July, because we've had a very busy spring meeting season. I mean, this is our 4th week in a row. So how many meetings are we talking about, say, in the next, starting July 1, in those first 15 days? Concom, planning?
Yeah.
We're okay, so our meeting coming up, July 6th, we're still allowed in here.
We were just noting that there are not many meetings scheduled for the first part of July,
Okay,
which is
helpful.
very helpful.
Okay. All right, okay.
We'll do everything that we can
Yeah.
to support them, but I don't wanna have expectations that we're going to be able to solve every concern, because we're just simply not going to be able to.
If I may, I guess my point was even and it's not, I think it's not the most ideal, but if there is even just someone with a town Chromebook that runs Zoom in the meeting, that just turns Zoom on and hits record, that Zoom meeting is not necessarily televised or anything, it's recorded, it can get put on YouTube after as a Zoom recording, and it's there to go back and refer to. I don't, beyond that, and it may not even be, nobody even needs to monitor it from allowing public in or anything, it's literally just the meeting being recorded that then can be televised at
And again,
bare minimum.
Depending on the committee's abilities and
And staff
Yeah.
to set up the Zooms,
and staff to set up the Zoom.
cause you gotta assign, you gotta create.
I mean, we have the town Zoom accounts.
Right.
So someone's gonna have to manage that. I mean, ultimately, with Tamika's hours being reduced and her not being available, that's gonna fall on me. So we will do the best we can.
Okay.
That's all I can promise you.
Bare minimum, assuming we're gonna do Zoom Pro, let's just make sure the meetings get a Zoom link. We'll start with that.
It doesn't even have to be to the public, I mean, that's what, I'm at the, just.
Yeah.
I will do the very best I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be taking on a lot of additional responsibilities also. I mean,
I think if I may, I think I said to you before, we as a board need communication as what you as the office and the rest of professional staff need, because we're not mind readers and we know you do the office, you two and others do a lot of work that we don't even know happens, so we
thank
can
you for that
help,
reminder, yes.
but
I
we
will
need
make
to
it-
know.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I think that asking for that help isn't something that comes first nature to me, but I absolutely will need to probably rely on you all more than we have in the past.
Listen, it's time to go old school with this.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people still in town, still on boards who remember when we didn't even have a you. So, yeah, it's time to get all the electeds to do some stuff.
Okay.
They can't just rely on professional staff because there's not enough of you. Okay, that sort of segued into, all right, so we're all right with exploring all of our secondary options that we talked about? Yes.
Sorry, I don't need to, and I don't wanna necessarily open this can of worms, and I don't need to know the answer tonight, but in the conversations with the trustees in the library, I don't know what the lease agreement with the trustees and the cable is, because it's cable space also, and so I don't know if there's any consideration in any of those conversations on whatever the agreement is on the cable side or not.
So the issue that it's a two-track issue, and I'll mention this quickly. One is the actual MOA that the library trustees have asked the town to commit to. And that is something that is still open. We are waiting to hear back from Spectrum Charter with regards to the status of our license agreement before we sign an MOA. I have reached out multiple times, and we do not have a status update of where that agreement stands. Separately to that, there was the issue of whether or not the town would be making a lease payment. I think the term was discussed that it would be $1,000 a month, and it was not made religiously last year, and that was a concern. If you recall through the budget hearing meetings, we put a $12,000 line item into the library budget that pays that $12,000 up front, and it is a capital line. So they have $12,000 in that budget that was not previously included in their budgets. So that money is there. It is available to the library for whatever capital building expenses. That's the intention of adding that line. So that's sort of not part of that memorandum of agreement anymore. It is now just a budget line that demonstrates that the town needs to do more to support the library's building space.
Okay.
Is that, I mean, it's not a great answer, but that's how we're we didn't want to leave the library without those funds, even though we knew we did not have an agreement, so that was added to the budget.
Okay.
So it's a static line.
I do think, back to the schools, whoever suggested that we need to talk about that in the next regional agreement, because town meetings in the school buildings should not be charged money. It's just me, but that's for future. All right, we've segued a little bit into town communications anyway, so under number 8, the social media policy updates, you have that in your packet. Obviously, the big change there is that policy notes that we will be turning off comments for any of our social media channels, meaning the public would not be allowed to have interactions on our Facebook page, for example, on our official channels. Has nothing to do with any of the private groups that are out there that might screenshot what we post, but in the absence of anyone in any form of a public information officer, we just can't monitor the comments. So everything else was pretty straightforward. I know, Heather, you pulled that from another community where it's working, so People have any comments about it, any edits? Do you wanna move on this tonight? Do you wanna think about it a little more?
I mean, I think it makes sense, given even in absence of the reduction in staff, I think it makes sense we don't have a dedicated communications person. And what the last couple months have shown us is that it very quickly devolves into not great space. And it's not fair to our employees especially, to have to look at that and manage that and have that in the back of their minds. So I think, and now going forward with the reduction in staff and hours, there's just not the capacity to do that. I think there's value to using it as an information sharing aspect, but not a question generating or dialogue back and forth space.
Mhm.
And so and I think it would be for the official Town of Rutland Facebook page and any other town departments and select board appointed committees that
Yeah,
have pages.
yes.
The others elected, I think, would
They have to do their own thing.
do their own thing.
Yep. Although the other electeds actually are not really maintaining socials right now, so
Right, randomly, I
Yeah.
think, but yeah,
Conservation Commission is.
no, they're appointed by us.
appointed.
Oh, sorry,
I think of the trustees, but I don't know if the library is through the
they're
depart-
elected, yep,
Right.
Yep.
So,
so. Yeah, really this mostly affects police and fire,
yeah,
police maintains a robust social media and they do maintain it, so I mean, that is a conversation, do we exempt the police and fire chiefs since they have been doing it? At least for now and see how they wanna do it, I would say animal control is another one.
I think animal control for me is because they're regional, so we
Yep.
take dispatch out because they're no longer, they're district now, so they're
Yep.
not with us
Yep.
anymore at all.
That's true.
But I really struggle doing the exemptions because I do think that if there's an opportunity to be nasty on any page, then that nastiness is going to move to that page. And I think that given the reduction in staff in police and fire did a great job monitoring with their current staffing level, but with reduced staffing level, I worry that they're not going to be able to
Yep.
do that as well.
Did we have any feedback from the chiefs? No. Okay.
And again, for animal control, I think I on one hand, I hate to lose that. On the other hand, I think our current animal control is quite connected in the communities that they service. And so if they can share their post to local community pages and get feedback that way.
Yep.
I think that might be the avenue for now. And we can always revisit this policy down the road if we have staff to have that capacity.
Okay.
I have a question on this. Does this cover complaints? In other words, I've seen complaints come through for certain people in the town through the town website, and is that considered social media policy?
Complaints on the town website?
Yeah,
So you mean like they go into the town website and submit a query
yeah.
and that goes to like the TA's office
Yeah.
probably?
That should go through proper channels, not through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't consider that, I personally don't consider that social media, I don't know other people's.
Okay.
I mean, I would say it's just like the police who very clearly have on all of their social media that if you have an emergency and you need help, please don't post on Facebook about it, call 911. So I guess I would maybe say it's about like that.
Or don't send it through the town, so it becomes a complaint, so to speak, without being a formal complaint.
Right,
Okay.
So just to clarify, we don't actually file a complaint through the website. It's usually just folks that look up the email address of the board or the town administrator and they send it through
Which is
the email
fine.
channel.
which
Yes,
is fine, we're just
it's very
saying
different than
a
this,
Facebook
yeah.
private message is not a complaint,
Right.
that's all, yeah.
But should we even allow that?
I believe Tamika has said that we
have
don't
that
even
feature.
have private messages turned on. So once
okay.
we turn off comments, somebody
Yeah.
won't be able to make a complaint.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we have a policy here. What do you think?
I would move to adopt the social media content and commenting policy as presented before us.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
That's an aye.
Oh, would I?
Wait a minute.
Second I.
And Dib aye. And as Leah noted, you know, if things turn out to not work the way we wanted them to work, obviously we can revisit this. For letter B, under communications, that's the Communications Advisory Committee, second reading, so that you have in your packet, that would be as at least suggested with the charge, total length of 3 years, and we would stagger the terms, 5 people, and they would essentially be advisory to this board. I think at the time I first presented this, there was something that one of you, possibly both of you, expressed concern, and I would certainly take that as a friendly edit. And it was in regards to content, where we wouldn't probably wanna put a committee like this, at least for now, maybe we do, a volunteer committee in the position of doing the social media posts themselves.
I think if I may, the other concern was access to the website.
Right, and actually I took that as the same thing,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So we would not be giving this committee access to make their own changes to any of our socials.
I mean, I guess,
So would this communications committee be accepting input from various organizations within the town structure and then promoting this information?
They would be coming to us to make suggestions. And then in possibly giving us a plan to move forward and saying, well, here's what we're hearing, here's what we think people would like, and here's how we think you could actually activate this.
Okay.
So I would say if you're looking under responsibilities for number 3, assists in the development and maintenance of the town website, that could certainly be rephrased slightly, assists in the
Yeah.
makes recommendations instead, something like that. And you know, I think it's one of those things where if they got to a point where they were, you know, giving us good information, they could certainly submit to Heather a list of posts. And say, here's some suggested posts for the month of August, you know, there's a special day and we'd like to highlight that, or there's an event coming up.
Who oversees our sign policy now? Isn't that the board?
that's
The bylaw?
The
on,
bylaw, yeah. Cause I'm just reading here in terms of making sure that they adhere to all the I know it says in here, but I just wanna make sure that they know they fall under the bylaws and everything else regarding that.
so the sign policy is under planning board, I think it's a zoning,
Yeah.
I believe it's a
It's a zoning
zoning,
bylaw,
for like,
like exterior signage.
right.
Yes?
Well, this is gonna be bad for you guys, but once I start talking, I can't stop. I mean, if I may, you could institute a social media review process. So like if any department or committee wants to plug a post in on Juneteenth, say, or whatever, that this committee could review the month of social media posts. And that would be,
Yep.
I would imagine that you would get marketing and creative professionals from the town to volunteer to this, committee, but you could have a review process and then that would absolve like people from making too many decisions like on their own.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds good.
I don't think it's none of this is a terrible idea, however, I just see a lot of extra work happening here. I see a lot of having so extra work, delays in getting things out. It just seems like a lot of extra things for what should be a relatively simple process. I think it's just gonna end up adding more work to Tamika's already reduced hours, Heather's already increasing list of things that need to get done. I don't know,
So it's funny you say that. I think my hope was that it would be the opposite. In the absence of enough professional staff to do some of this work, that we would take the expertise, to your point, of some of our residents and use that as a springboard, because we just kept hearing our communication needs to improve, and this felt like this is a way to get a group of people in front of us to say, you know how you can improve? Do this. Try doing this. Yeah.
So I think that, again, there's two ways of approaching this. I think that you leave the day-to-day website updates, the email alerts that go out, the social media posting, that stays with the administration. And I think that's important because we do need to be able to get that information out quickly without having to default or defer to a committee for their input. But then you have the bigger issue, which is, I think the term might be more like branding, where the town communications committee could deal with the higher level issues of the messaging behind a Proposition 2.5 override. How do we develop messaging? So here's the budget book. What is the messaging that could go out around implementing that budget book and presenting it to the community at large? So I think that there's maybe, so long as we're all on the same page, that the day-to-day communications stay administrative, and then we look to this communications committee to present sort of more of a high level, how do we market the municipalities' communications around our bigger goals, defaulting to the select board's goals and getting that information out. More the information that you all wanna get out as opposed to the information that I wanna get out.
Absolutely. I hope the phrasing of it reflects that. There's nothing about day-to-day maintenance, there is nothing about you, it's purely advisory to us. And frankly, the only reason I didn't call it Communications Advisory Committee is because that's very similar to Cable Advisory Committee, which so many communities have. And of course, we have cable advisory, so it is considered, at least in my head, advice to the board. Nothing to do with your day-to-day.
I like the essence of it, but again, I guess I would kind of echo Alex's comments on that. It seems, what's the word I'm looking for? It seems a little too involved, getting into too much minutia.
Okay.
Instead of looking at the broad picture. In other words, to me, it would be how do we communicate to the rest of the communities or to people around the state about Rutland? What's the communication we can do to enhance the town that way? Not so much the communication of, well, do we maintain the town community? That's what Heather and that's what Tamika do. So I'd like to see a more global picture for them than minutia picture for them.
Yeah? Yes? Okay, so I'm gonna tweak that.
Did I kind of express that?
Everybody's nodding?
I think that's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds good. So I'm gonna tweak that some more. We'll bring it back again later. Any other comments? All right. I'm moving on to new business. We have some interdepartmental transfer requests. They are in your packet. I would immediately take a motion, or if you'd like Heather to give you a little bit of an explanation on these, there's only a couple.
So the premise behind the reserve fund transfers is to cover snow and ice. something that we've talked about a number of meetings, to cover our legal bill, KP Law. We have been accruing bills for the last few months simply because we have depleted that particular line item. And what is the last one? The coverage for the election workers, about $200 to cover the special town meeting. One to cover postage. And I think that's it.
So, yeah, so in total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have 7 here. Certainly historically, we've gone through and read each one and read them for the record to be transferred from the account numbers and into the account numbers, and you've got the account name at the pleasure of the board. I'm happy to pass these out, people can read them, or you can make a motion to do it as a slate as presented. Here we are, 7.
2 of them are for snow and ice.
Yep.
So technically 6.
What's the total requested?
Well, why don't we go through them? We'll go through them. So we're requesting that we take $90,000 from the highway wages that will offset the deficit for snow and ice. The next one is $4.01 to come from our health insurance line to cover interest on long-term debt. We miscalculated the interest. We're requesting $76,145,000 again from health insurance to cover the snow and ice and supplies line. We are requesting $13,855 from health insurance, also to cover snow and ice. We're requesting $64,000 to come from the FY26 town planner salary line. That was a position that remained vacant for most of the year, and that is what we propose to cover our town council services from. We are requesting $1,000 from health insurance to cover postage. And we are requesting $132 from the select board purchase service line to cover the election wages as spent at the special town meeting last week.
So, I was under the impression that we had to read the dollar and from account and to account, but we don't need to, we can just do it as a slate.
We can do it as well, so these documents were a part of the packet, and they are
Right.
part of the public
Right.
record, and so we can waive the reading,
Okay.
but we don't have to. We can absolutely read through each and every one of these, I'm happy to pass them down.
No, I mean, I prefer to just reference the document because I always worry about misspeaking a number or something,
Okay.
so I would be comfortable to make a motion to approve the request for appropriation transfers as presented in our packet.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Is there anybody who wanted more information read into the record? Again, these are documents that are public record for anybody who would like them. Heather?
I just think that it's important to know that we're not appropriating any new monies. We're moving monies from one line to another. And also Finance Committee will have to vote these as well on the at their third, or they'll be asked to vote them on it's a 2-part process.
And for anybody watching, it's because we are now in the last month of the fiscal year, and so we are allowed to do these transfers, assuming both of those groups approve them.
And if I may, doing it this way will decrease the amount of free cash that we would see as we close these books, because we're using existing.
Well, I don't know that it decreases free cash, because we have to spend the money, these are
The
bills
bills
that we
to pay,
have.
right.
So whether we pay the bill from one line or another line, we're still gonna pay the bill, so
I just want to be clear that with these dollar amounts, and I didn't do the sum of them all, that's if we're expecting, let's say we're expecting $1 million in free cash that in the fall to clear, but that would be high, that this is coming out of that what we clear. It's the way we do our budgeting.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
understand that.
I think the only one that you could really consider a hit against your free cash would be your snow and ice. And that's approximately $180,000. We covered some of it with free cash at the Maytown meeting. And then this, we were confident that we would have existing funds in our highway wages and our health insurance to be able to cover the rest of it.
And I wanted to follow up
Yeah.
and say that it's coming from, mostly where the funds are coming from is unfulfilled positions, because we've recruited and we're unable to fill those positions. So
Absolutely.
it wasn't a matter of we over budgeted in these positions,
Yeah.
in these locations. They were positions that are funds that we
If-
anticipated to spend, but
Yeah, if we had had a full highway department, we would not have these funds available to us at all. From the health insurance right down to the wages.
so sorry for.
No, it's all good information.
So I have a motion and a second on the table, with a waive of reading for the 7 requests for transfers. Once we take a vote on this, they will get sent then to the finance committee. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
That's an aye.
Vote aye.
Wait a minute.
Second aye.
And Dib, aye, that is unanimous, thank you, we'll pass these all down for people to sign. I'll start with you, and we will keep going. The Finn Park celebration, it is their 100th anniversary. We have this beautiful proclamation, which, and you dated this for the 28th, that's the actual day. Would anybody like to read this? This is a big deal, and obviously this is the group that, should have been honored at some of our bigger events. It doesn't make it any less important. This is the 100th anniversary of Finn Park, so anybody like to read the proclamation for the record? No?
I'll read it, but does Paul wanna read it?
Yeah.
I know Paul has
I think
a.
Paul should read it.
Yeah.
I will get a motion to sign it.
I would make a
Paul, are you okay
motion,
reading it? Do you wanna read
Would
it?
you like to read it to the record?
I've read it already, I know what's in it, so yeah, in other words, yeah, I'm on the board of directors over there, and so I would just, at this point in time, say, all
Paul, I'd like you to read it for the town, for the record.
right, I'll read it.
Thank you, Paul.
Proclamation, 100th anniversary of Finn Park. Whereas the Finn Park has been a cherished gathering place for the town of Rutland for 100 years, serving generations of residents as a place of recreation, celebration, relaxation, and community pride. And whereas established in 1926, Finn Park has provided opportunities for families, friends, neighbors, and visitors to come together, enjoy the natural beauty and the small town character that define Rutland community. And whereas throughout its century of existence, the Finn Park has hosted countless community events, celebrations, picnics, and recreational activities, creating memories that have become woven into the fabric of our town's history. And whereas the town of Rutland proudly recognizes the significance of this milestone and joins together in celebrating 100 years of fellowship, recreation, and community spirit at Finn Park. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Rutland Select Board hereby proclaims the year 2026 as celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Finn Park and encourages all residents to participate in commemorative activities honoring this historic occasion and to celebrate the lasting impact Finn Park has had on our community.
That's fantastic. Could I get a motion to sign the proclamation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
That's a nice.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute.
Second I.
Dib, aye, unanimous. As deserved. It's really a wonderful local treasure. Paul, we appreciate you reading that. It's really, this is big.
Well, it's been a part of my family for the 100 years. My sister-in-law's father was one of the builders of the facility. And so, you know, it's just been something that has been there, and back when there was probably a group of about 12 of us who went dancing there on Saturday nights, all the Scandinavian dances and this sort of thing, and so, you know, it's something that's just kind of a part of our life, and this is what it is, and so, you know, of the dozen kids that were there, some of them have married each other, some of them have married others, and so on and so forth, and they're scattered pretty much around the country, so, you know. The last time we got together really was totally by accident, and that was at FinFest way back in 1976, I believe it was, up in Southern Maine University. And that evening, as a part of the festivities, they had a dance. And without any interconnection at all 12 of us and our wives and lovers and whatnot showed up at the dance. That was really something that struck me. It really touched me, you know. And like I say, you know, yeah, we saw one here and there all day long and going through different activities and whatnot, but then when the dance came up that night, poof, it's like out of the woodwork, everybody came.
Is there anything else besides the proclamation that you would like the board to do? Would you like us to invite them to a meeting? Anything?
Well,
Their directors?
yeah, okay, we're having a session called Coffee with the Finn. Okay? And what it boils down to is it's an open invitation to the town to come meet all the Finnish people over there. There will be Finnish pastries that you wanna think about, and you know, things that I've grown up with, but nevertheless, you know, and so this is probably one of the bigger activities. Of course, we have our annual chicken barbecue, these activities, and so, you know, there's things that go on, and you know, we have dances once a month now, and over this year because of everything else that's going on. So, you know, it's just something that is out there for the people in town to enjoy, and so, you know, there's quite a few campsites over there that belong to people in town now, so, you know, it's one of these things that, okay, this is what we do and this is who we are, and, you know, you're welcome to come. Like I say, I've been promoting this Coffee with the Finn thing, because it's just something that I think is really worthwhile, and, you know, it's something, we've got a bunch of volunteers who are going to cook up the Finnish pastry, and, you know, I mean, it's nothing any different than any of the pastries that you see around, except it may have a little bit different flair to it or something else like that, but.
All right, well, this is, you know, I'm oversharing, but Paul is an excellent baker, so if anyone is watching this, you should basically go for the pastry because they're amazing. Is it in August? I was looking for the date. Do you have a date yet?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I can go get it out of them.
No, we'll circle back. It's fine. We'll get it. I mean, I think we have a little time, but yeah, thank you so much. Thank you to the Finn Park membership for so much wonderful contribution to the Rutland community over the years, and we congratulate you. Moving on to number 11, the town welcome signs. So I know this has come up before with this board. We have a document in the packet that I believe was, Tamika, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this was was this the original application, or was this the application that the EDC came up with?
So if I may, we could not find what was used back in 2019 when this originally came about.
Okay.
So the board, in collaboration with our office, had drafted this application and this policy
With
that
the
the
EDC?
board, no, the board
Oh.
did it. The
Oh.
board was comfortable with it and then passed it on to the EDC for comment, and then it was at that point
Okay.
that it kind of trickled off.
I thought, if I may, I thought EDC was going to take it then, and then EDC shortly thereafter dissolved and
Okay.
went to RBA, so I think it just kind of fell flat and nothing.
Yeah.
has-
So bottom line, for anybody keeping up, we have these beautiful carved entry signs in Rutland at, I think, I've already lost track, is it 7 or 9 locations, pretty much at every entrance road. And the sponsorship was meant to cover the cost of the sign and included your own business sign at the bottom. And that was for a period of 5 years, and we're a little bit over that 5 years now. They were installed in 2019. I did speak with a former member of the EDC, and I will say it seems as if there is a bit of a Venn diagram here. So some of the businesses that bought signs back then are no longer in business. Would the board like to contemplate offering a right of first refusal to businesses that already had made that first, purchase to re-up their sponsorship of the sign? And we can talk about the dollar figures, which I know you guys talked about earlier. And do you want to offer a right of first refusal to any large 4th of July sponsors who perhaps lost their ability to sponsor, the big events that aren't happening this year, and they put money towards it? Now, I have some caveats. If we do that, the businesses would be responsible for paying for their own sponsorship sign. So just like the one you see at the entrance to the town, we would give them the specs for that and the parameters of what it, the sizing and all that. Or we could simply open it up again to the public. The other thing I would say is one of the signs, I believe it's at the Barry Town line, but correct me if I'm wrong, has a sponsorship that says, from the citizens of Rutland, or the town of Rutland residents.
It's the one down here.
Is it the one down here? We could choose to leave that one, just leave it in place. You had sponsorship fees based on location, which changed a little bit. We could keep those. Basically, we have a situation where we've got some choices to make relative to how we want to update these sponsorships. Now, obviously, one option that nobody really talked about is just take all the sponsorships down. I mean, we do have other communities local to us that don't do it, but I don't know, feels like it's been beneficial to everybody, so.
There's been a lot of discussion about this,
Yeah,
and I know that initially Mike
Nicholson,
Nicholson, had originally started this to try to get some business awareness and create a little money for the town. And then it got to be a point where it wasn't kept up or anything, so that's a bad appearance for the town. So if we do this, I'm looking at this one here that says that if you're using the same sign, that you only have to pay 50% of the fee. And I guess I'm not sure I'm okay with that. Now, I'm okay, it's for a 2-year period. And the reason I'm not okay with the 50% is because if they decide to keep the sign, who decides whether the sign looks appropriate or not, or should be changed? Who does that? So we're saying to them, well, you already got a sign, may not look that great, but because you have one, we're only gonna charge you 50% for the maintenance costs. So I have an issue with that, and how do we clean that up?
I mean, I agree with you. To me, this is a marketing expense for a business.
Yep.
I don't understand why you would get a discount for that, because the cost that, you know, the original cost came exactly from how much it was going to cost to create the big carved sign.
Right.
That's where that number 1250 came from. So it
wasn't really,
wasn't arbitrary.
and it wasn't really a fundraiser for town.
No, it just paid for the signs. So I agree. It's a marketing, there's a huge value to it. And I think for the people who have had their signs up, the businesses that have had their signs up for 7.5 years now, it's been the best marketing money they ever spent. So, yeah. So we do need to update it somehow. We don't have to decide tonight, but it's been long enough.
And also, I think the one at near Hubbardston, near Pout and Trout, has a ROTC sign on that went up with no approval or anything. And so I just struggle with anybody putting any sign up without any sort of approval and I believe at one point the board had asked that it was taken down, and I don't think that DPW take it down just because it never went through any channels and it's still there, so.
Why don't we ask the local ROTC office to come and get it? They must know that.
I don't even remember which ROTC it is, to be honest.
I don't-
There is no local ROTC.
Must be something.
I think
You can finish, because I might have missed
most
others.
local ROTC is probably WPI.
No, they're
Well-
all over. I mean, WPI has Air Force, I think Assumption has Navy.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
There's nothing like, they're
Side-
all in Worcester.
Yeah,
yeah,
side
exactly.
issue, but anyway, so I think the question is, looking at what we're seeing here, which is various fees based on location. So somebody sort of assigned a value to the locations and said some were worth more than others. We should talk about that. We should talk about the time period, which on this is 2 years, that's fine. Should talk about whether we're giving right of first refusal to anybody. Again, the people that already have signs up and or the large 4th of July sponsors, which I don't actually know tonight who those were, but we get it. And again, this would be no 4th of July money being spent, but an offer of a marketing opportunity.
Sheila,
Yes,
just a heads
thank
up.
you.
No, this is totally unrelated.
Oh.
Back on the Finn Park proclamation, Liam made a motion, but we never seconded it and voted on it.
My goodness,
So if
because
you
I
could
got
just-
sidetracked by the Finn Park.
Sorry.
We'll go back, thank
Second.
you. Hold on one second, we'll finish this and then we'll go back.
Okay.
And Sheila, just to add, some of the things that are in the policy were based on feedback that we got from the EDC.
Great.
Some of those members who are local business owners, and so they had, I believe it was their proposal to not have to pay full price for a sign if they already had an existing one,
I mean,
as well as assigning different values to different
okay,
locations in town.
Yep.
Cause I guess there was some frustration the first time around that the businesses weren't given a choice, so some folks got better viewing than others did.
Oh.
So this was in an effort to kind of essentially say if you were willing to pay more, then you got a more visible location than another.
okay. I mean, clearly a lot of thought was put into this, and we don't have to change a thing, other than the signs themselves, which are outdated.
I mean, I don't necessarily, like, I get the idea of having a sign and only paying 50%, but that means that the town's paying the other 50% and we can't afford that, right?
No, we're not paying anything. There's no outlay of money on the town's part for this. We are offering sponsorships on
Yeah.
existing signs. The company that would sponsor would
I'm
pay
sorry.
for the marketing opportunity, would pay for their own sign if they didn't already have one. And we would have, as noted in the policy, approval over sign design before it goes up.
And I think one of the, and I don't remember if it's in this policy, because this was some of the conversation around why it was kicked back to EDC, was what's happening to the money that is collected. Obviously, some of it would be, if they're providing their own sign, then it wouldn't be. I think the intent was originally for any maintenance and upkeep around the signs or of the signs that needed anything. And knowing that now they're 7 years old, they may need some, so I don't know. But I think that was one of the big questions that came from EDC is where the money was going and what it was going to be used for. They
Okay.
didn't necessarily want it to go into the general fund. They were hoping to be able to build a nest egg to do some like micro grants for businesses, some
Okay.
economic development stuff, but that wasn't feasible. And so that was, I think, a gray area that kind of put
Okay.
things on pause.
I think that's a fair point. We should probably look into a revolving fund for that. And it would basically be self-sustaining, so if, God forbid, one of those big wooden signs needed repair.
We'll see if there's an MGL that
Yeah.
allows for a revolving fund for that
Yeah.
use.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what else.
So just as a heads up, you would have to modify your revolving fund bylaw.
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that the MGL has a provision
Yeah.
for
Can it be allowed as a gift account?
potentially. Well,
I don't know, I
yeah.
just, I know that was one of the big things, and that was one of the reasons I think that it had, Mike, do you remember that we were gonna give it back to EDC to kind of manage it, but then EDC
Yeah,
didn't
they
have a
do
way
it-
to do it either,
Correct.
and
Yep.
Yeah, they were gonna do our own fund, it was gonna come back to us, cause I think we were gonna set it up as a nonprofit, if I remember correctly.
you were looking into ways to
To
do it.
do that, to cover it so that we could do it, because a revolving fund wasn't gonna work.
Oh,
I can't remember the,
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember all the details
Okay.
regarding like dealing with MGL and the revolving
Yeah.
fund and the
Yeah.
particulars
Alright.
applying to it,
I think
so-
that there's,
Yeah.
I don't have that law committed to memory, but I know that there.
What?
I know, the purpose of a revolving fund has to be explicitly stated within that
yeah.
law, and I don't know that is.
Yeah, so maybe gift account is the way to
We
go.
can look into it.
But either way, it's a fair question, that we're not just taking money and it's going into the ether and nobody knows where it's being spent. So to have it be a gift account and have a purpose for that gift account, in the same way 4th of July has a gift account, that makes sense. Okay, so for tonight with this was really just a first shot. Is there anything else people want answers to or want to change now?
I'm trying to think, I think that was the biggest,
Where the money goes?
yeah.
Yeah, it was just a quick snippet here. I was sitting in during that meeting, and one of the issues that came up was the reason they didn't want the revolving fund is because they wanted total control of that money. And by having the revolving fund, it was still the town's money. They wanted it into their specific account.
Yeah, I mean, they're town signs and town property, so.
Right. So that was the big issue
Okay,
we got into.
all right.
Well, I think also some of it was, they were.
it was around and around, we spent, what did we spend? I think that one night, I think you were
Yeah.
there, we were there on that for over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, and that wasn't the only meeting, mind you, we talked about it more than once, we put several hours into that. So it was a big confusing issue.
Yeah,
But, and like Leah said, it went to we dissolved and it went to the RBA, so it was kind of left
okay.
dangling.
It's I think it's important. I want to deal with it. At the end of the day, it is 9 signs, so.
In the scheme of things, we can keep working on it.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest question is where the money goes, and otherwise,
Alright.
in my mind, I wanna be as business friendly as possible, and I think it provides a really good
Yeah.
and fairly easy investment for marketing for our businesses.
Mhm.
But also it's 9 signs, and if it's going to be too much work, then we just take them all down and
Yeah, and call it a day.
call it a day.
So, all right, so if we could add this to our next agenda and let's try to get 2 answers. The first answer is, can the money go into a gift account, town gift account, which I think might be our easiest option. And for the board, whether or not you would like to do anything with the fee numbers. We've got Harry saying the 50% seems weird, and if we wanna offer right of first refusal to those businesses that already have signs up. And or 4th of July. All right. And back to Finn Park, which, we should talk about Finn Park more. So I had a motion and a second that I left hanging on the table to sign the proclamation. And is there any other discussion about Finn Park? We'll probably talk about it all night.
I don't know if there was a second, I think I seconded it randomly, but
You wanna, okay.
so just confirming,
We're
yeah, okay.
confirming a second,
Yeah,
thank you very
good.
much. All in favor of the signature on the proclamation for the 100th anniversary of Finn Park?
Matt's and I.
Alright,
Wait a minute.
Second I.
Goodbye, thank you very much. Okay, the Board of Public Works, which happens to be us, number 12, needs to set the FY 2027 water and sewer rates. That document is in your packet.
And this is based on the numbers that were voted at the annual town meeting.
Yes, that's correct. So you have a memo from Nick George. You've got the rate schedule, the estimated revenues. Does anybody have any questions? See anything from Heather? We have the tiers.
Through the chair.
Yep.
Heather, it was only, I attended the meeting where we had that individual come in and discuss the water rates. That was just a 2-year increase. And then this year, it's gonna be 2.5 period. We're not putting that on top of a third rate increase for that time, correct? In other words, we had a rate increase of 15% initially, and then we had another rate increase of, where was it?
So
We started from
this will be the only increase for FY 27.
just 2.5,
Yes,
okay.
yes. It is not duplicating or piggybacking on any other increases.
Okay. If I might add, when he was here, some people, me being one of them, has water barrels. And I was told, so just be aware, citizens, that if you have a water barrel and that causes you to use less water, that also impacts the rate for the sewer. Because now you have to make up more money for your expenses. He did an excellent job of discussing it. So I just want you to be aware of that.
Well, there's only the one tier for sewer usage.
I know that,
Yeah.
but there's a cost and revenue disparity there. And if you had 3,000 water barrels in town, that would reduce the cost of watering your yard or taking water or anything else. So we were amazed when he said that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knows, that's all.
What? Just to be clear, are we talking about rain barrels?
Yes. Yeah,
So if you have a rain barrel in your yard collecting rainwater,
and you use that water and don't use water for the town.
When
of
you're
the town.
using it I'm assuming that you're not, let me clarify, what are you using your rain barrel water for?
Whatever you want.
Right.
But in lieu of using your water, town water, you're using the rain barrel, which reduces the overall usage of the water that's required to fund the expenses,
Okay.
if that makes sense. It sounded crazy when he said it, but
I think it's because in most cases, the sewer usage is based on water usage.
Yes.
And so if you're using less water, town water, then
Your sewer
your
usage
sewer
also goes
usage
down.
is also going down.
right.
But the argument could be that if you have rain barrels and you're collecting rainwater, you're using that water in your yard or outside that's not going into the sewer system
I know.
anyway, so.
It was crazy when he said it, but
I got,
don't we, I mean,
this
so.
doesn't sound right, because nobody's checking to
so-
see who has rain
right.
barrels.
So it
I'm
doesn't,
talking about the overall cost to run this
Right.
water sewer system
Yeah,
is based on certain water usage.
yeah.
So if you have rain barrels, you're not meeting that certain water usage.
Except don't we as a town pay for, isn't there a sewage meter at the sewage connection,
At the line.
whatever it is? And so
Yes,
the
at the
amount
line.
of sewage that goes through that line is dictating what we pay to that.
it's paying what the town uses for the transport fees. This is a
Right, right.
usage fee.
This is a usage.
Well, but the transport fees gets paid out of the usage
Yes.
revenue.
Yes.
So if,
I don't wanna make a big deal of it, but
So I
having
think,
rain
I
barrels
think that,
may cost me more money, is what I'm saying, because I'm contributing to the usage of that. That
Or the lack
doesn't go,
thereof,
or
right.
lack thereof for the expenses in the town.
Right, so when people practice good conservation efforts.
Exactly, that's my point.
That's the word.
The town's usage does decrease.
Yes,
However, theoretically, your sewer usage also decreases because you're not putting as much water through the system.
right.
So it's
It's a catch-22.
right.
No, it should be a net zero.
No, well, so
It's
because
It isn't.
we're able to keep you in a lower tier, so you're paying a lower rate because you're using less water. So I think that it would probably even out.
It really doesn't,
Okay,
because unless you have 20 rain barrels, you're not gonna, four
It's
rain
quarter.
barrels ain't gonna, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
townwide.
I need some fact checking. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're
So
gonna,
I'm glad
we're
it's
getting
only
there.
2.5
We
this
have
year.
we have a goal of 9 PM here, so let's do this. I have a personal goal, might not make it. So,
Huh.
how are we doing?
I
We have
would-
our rates in front of us, we have our document in front of us. Could I get a
I would
motion?
move to approve the fiscal year 2027 water and sewer rates as presented and approved at annual town meeting.
Second.
Any more discussion? You looked like you had something to say. No?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No,
You're
he
good.
seconded it, right?
Yeah, we're all set. Heather, was there something else you had to?
no, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay,
all in favor?
that's what I,
No, and I.
And then
Second, aye.
And Div, I thank you very much. Moving on, our next big thing, we have the borrowing for the ladder truck. So we have a bid from Greenfield Cooperative Bank. And for that, if you would like to see that document, I had it somewhere. Did I have it somewhere?
The interest rate is 3.25 with no premium.
And that borrowing is $1.850 million. So if I could get a motion to approve the borrowing and accept the bid from Greenfield Cooperative Bank on a loan, the date of issue of July 6, 2026, again, $1.85 million. With an interest rate of 3.250% per annum, and this is a, how long is this one?
for a term of 1 year.
So this is like a capital,
Because it's a ban, it's a short term,
yeah,
we'll roll it
Yep.
to a long-term borrowing after.
perfect.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
that's what I,
No, and I.
And then
And Dib, aye. Thank you very much. Lots of signatures required on this one, so make sure you take a look at all of the sticky notes. Thank you. Last thing, and this was added a little bit late, because we just got it. It is a release of deed. That's number 14/491 Central Tree Road. This was presented to us by Nick George. And we have here the release of deed document that will need to be signed by all of us, and then it will head over to the Worcester County Registry of Deeds. Could I
So
get a,
this was a tax title property that we took, that the select board voted to authorize the taking. And we then hired Paul Zikos. Nick brought forward that contract to the board. Zico's property marketed and sold this property on behalf of the town. And now we are releasing the deed to that buyer.
What was the amount that was owed on that? Was that in the 70s?
Yeah, we'll have a full memo and report to you once we're through this whole process of what we took the property for, what we were able to sell it for, how much of that will we be able to retain, and how much will go into escrow for the original owner. We will present you with a full document of that.
Will it show on there what expenses the owner has to pay for us doing this? or they just
Yep,
get cleared?
so that's part of the sum of money that we will retain from this process.
Okay,
We definitely calculated it out to the nickel
okay.
to make sure that we are covered for all of our expenses.
I
Thank you.
move to release the deed for the property at 91, sorry, I just lost my spots. 91 Central Tree Road as presented in our packet.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
That's all right.
No, and I.
Lemon
Second, aye.
Dib, aye. Excellent. Things getting done. Does the town administrator have anything for us?
Very quickly, congratulations to the library on its 25th anniversary celebration. Just to reiterate that I understand it was a lovely unveiling of the new stained glass window. And we also want to congratulate Recreation and Safe Place on the near completion of their playground project. That transformation is still underway, but it's gonna be great. The community is very lucky to have both the library and recreation to provide those additional amenities. Also just acknowledging that CMRPC had their annual meeting 2 weeks ago. And appreciation for all the hard work that the CMRPC staff and volunteers do on behalf of Rutland and our region. A few operational updates. We had shared through the website and on social media that last week or 2 weeks ago, we received a letter of resignation from our building commissioner. Our electrical inspector and the plumbing gas fitter inspector have also submitted their resignations, leaving us without staff in that department, with the exception of our administrator. Thank goodness we still have her. So we know that those resignations were a direct result of the reduction of hours to all three positions. It just simply wasn't worth their time to stay with the community, given the limited number of hours that we were able to fund them at. We have posted the positions. I actually have had a couple of applications come in. I'll be interviewing 2 candidates tomorrow, one at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I'm just gonna spend the night. But I'm optimistic that we'll be able to fill those positions. But again, we ask for everybody's patience while we move through that transition. And we also say thank you very much to Harold, Dennis, and Jim for their service to the town. I didn't get the chance to work with them for very long, but I'm sure that they will be very much missed. I also want to acknowledge that tonight marks Tamika's last meeting with us. Due to the hour reduction, she has also sought employment elsewhere. And so not only are we losing her for the meetings, but we will be losing her as an employee as well. Very difficult times. But you're kind of amazing. I've loved working with you, and we'll figure it out. I know we will. Lastly, the July 4th holiday is coming up. There will be limited impact to the public for town services. Obviously, this is occurring after the July 1 date, when we are closing town hall with the exception of Monday and Tuesday. The July 4th holiday will be observed on Friday. So very little impact to the public, but should anybody be looking for us, that is not a day you'll find anybody in town hall. So that's all I have, unless there's questions or concerns.
No, I think let's try to keep a log of how many people request appointments on Wednesdays and Thursdays across all town buildings to get a sense of who's needing to make special arrangements
Yep.
versus who's able to do the Monday, Tuesday hours, just so we can kind of keep track. Tamika, thank you so much for your service. you know, we don't talk about this a lot and everybody's, you know, still in that whole override thing, but the loss of institutional knowledge is real. So when we lose people like this, certainly department heads in the past, that institutional knowledge goes with them, and all that experience. So we wish you all the best. And we thank you for having been here. And I think a lot of people who watch online will have it be weird that you're not sitting there across on the camera.
It's gonna be weird for me too.
Yeah. And I would also just reiterate, you know, this is our last meeting before 4th of July, and so grateful to the 4th of July committee for all of their work, for all of the consummately community events that are still happening this coming weekend, to the Historical Society, to the Council on Aging. There's still good things happening here, even if the big giant things that bring hordes of people in from all over aren't. And we'll get there, we'll get back there again. So we really, we wish everybody a very safe 4th of July. And we'll be back after that. And that's it, I think. There is correspondence if you would like to waive reading. And otherwise, I would take a motion to adjourn unless there's anything else.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Matt's and I.
Vote aye.
Wait a minute.
Second.
Goodbye. Thank you very much. We did make it before 9 o'clock.
Well, we started
Oh, I
late.
got one more for you. I think I just.